I thought Kyler Murray was the best quarterback I watched this week. He was phenomenal. And I mean, you know, I think in our heads, like, we have this perception of Kyler. I was like, yeah, he's fine. He's going to make a few plays, but I don't think people see him or his upside as top 10 quarterback. But I don't know, guys. He looked phenomenal on Sunday.
Yeah. Comes in ready-baked offense, and he has a lot of Larry Fitzgerald too.
I thought Kyler's tape was top 5 player in the league on Sunday. I've said that a couple times since Sunday. I was that impressed.
6 minutes. It only took 6 minutes of football at State Farm Stadium this past Sunday for the Arizona Cardinals to completely flip the script and emerge as one of the most exciting offenses in the NFL. A healthy Kyler Murray finally has the supporting cast that his talent deserves. And the former Offensive Rookie of the Year is beginning to click with the generational wideout that is Marvin Harrison Jr. And look, if they can keep up these performances on both sides of the ball throughout the season, it's hard not to see the Cardinals challenging for the NFC West title. And look, if you think that's a bit extreme, then you absolutely missed the clinic that Jonathan Gannon's team put out on Sunday. And the craziest part too is this is their first win over a division rival since November of 2022. Early on in the game, the visiting Rams found themselves at 4th and 2 at the Arizona 41, deciding to go for the first down with a screen to Cooper Kupp. He was stuffed by Pro Bowl safety Budda Baker shy of the line to gain, causing a turnover on downs, setting the tone for a fiery home opener. One of the standout players for the Cardinals has been James Conner, who was the star of the first possession for the Cards, moving the sticks twice before Maserati Marv blew the game wide open. Harrison's first grab of the day was a spectacular lofted pass from Murray deep in the end zone to put the Cardinals up 7-0. A Dennis Godric sack forced a 3-and-out, sending the offense back onto the field. On the first and only play of the next drive, Murray connected with Harrison once again, this time for a 60-yard touchdown pass to put the Cardinals up 14-0. 6 minutes and 12 seconds into the game, the Arizona Cardinals pass rush then suffocated Stafford, forcing another punt. Pinned back at their own 1-yard line, the Murray-Harrison connection struck again, with a beautiful back shoulder catch giving the Cardinals some breathing room. Murray then scrambled on 3rd and 5, heaving it toward midfield into the expectant arms of, you guessed it, Marvin Harrison Jr. for 32 more yards. The remainder of their third drive was methodically pieced together, draining 8.5 minutes off of the clock, resulting in yet another incredible scrambling play from Murray on 3rd down, which ended in an Elijah Higgins score. Murray and company opened the second half with a 24-3 lead in an efficient drive. This one was mostly led by the rushing attack, capped off by a 5-yard touchdown from James Conner. And after Cooper Kupp was confirmed out for the rest of the game, the Rams' woes continued with yet another 3-and-out, as Matt Prater capped off the following Cardinals drive with a 57-yard field goal. The Rams finally did string together a decent drive at the end of the third quarter, with Kyren Williams capping off a 70-yard drive with LA's first touchdown of the game. But with 24 points to make up in one quarter, the game seemed all but gone, and honestly it was at this point. The final score read 41-10 in favor of the Cardinals, which is safe to say not what many expected, and the praise came pouring in as a result. Many labeled this as Kyler Murray's best performance ever, as a team that went 4-13 last season now seems to have plugged many of the holes that had sunk them in 2023. Most notably, I think the one that everybody does see is the lengthy absence of Kyler Murray due to injury last year and the lack of legitimate weapons available to him when he was healthy. And yes, tight end Trey McBride did step up in a big way last season. I mean, the wide receiver room was pretty lackluster at best though. Hollywood Brown led the way with 574 yards and 4 touchdowns, followed closely by rookie Michael Wilson with 565 yards and 1 fewer touchdown. But I mean, this group was crying out for a wide receiver following the departure of DeAndre Hopkins. And of course, as we all know, thanks to their poor record, they earned the 4th overall pick and was looking increasingly likely given the wealth of talent at the position in the 2024 draft class. As we all know, I mean, do we even need to talk about it? The one prospect that stood head and shoulders above the rest with a Biletnikoff Award to his very familiar name, Marvin Harrison Jr., son of a Hall of Famer. Marvin Harrison lit up college football at Ohio State, and he had been hyped up since he became a starter in 2022, putting some insane plays on tape. And of course, while the 3 teams ahead of them addressed desperate needs at quarterback, the Cardinals swooped in at pick number 4, bringing Marvin Harrison Jr. to Arizona to join forces with an elite signal caller, luxury not often afforded to receivers picked so high in the draft. And yes, Giants fans and Malik Neighbors, I'm looking at you. I mean, this dude was considered the most pro-ready of the wideouts in the 2024 draft class, and the expectations for Harrison coming into the season have been sky high. Despite barely appearing in the preseason, his rapport with Kyler Murray had reportedly grown over the summer in camp and off-season workouts. When week 1 rolled around, his performances honestly were a massive letdown. 1 catch from 3 targets for 4 yards in a tight 34-28 loss was really worrying. Some honestly blamed Murray for missing him on open looks on multiple occasions, but there was really no clear or satisfying answer as to what exactly went wrong. I mean, honestly, many people were asking, why wasn't he used more in the passing attack? Where was all the explosiveness that everybody was expecting? And honestly, the most worrisome was people were honestly asking if he even was going to fit in Arizona. A quote from Kyler Murray's post-game interview was taken completely out of context, where it seemed that Harrison's quarterback blamed him for not getting open in his debut, but this only fanned the flames that Harrison might not be all what we expected. Going into week 2 though, it seemed Marvin Harrison Jr. had a lot to answer for, and the former Buckeye roared back with a statement performance. 130 yards and 2 touchdowns on 4 receptions, all in the first half. Like, this is an unreal stat line, and he provided the big playability that this offense had so sorely missed over the past few seasons. Now, before we continue talking about the Cardinals' path to winning the NFC West, a word from our sponsor, Factor. Now, as the type of guy who's always on the go and getting things done, cooking from scratch always becomes a major chore. And while if you're anything like me, then you hate doing dishes, but you still want to be able to eat healthy, then that's the best part, because Factor is just for you. With Factor, they deliver fresh, never frozen, ready-made meals right to your doorstep. Factor takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success. It allows you to skip the grocery store, prep work, and all that cooking fatigue. And the best part, you still get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more, so you can choose whatever suits your goals. And don't worry either, because when things do get hectic, Factor is very flexible. They allow you to change up your plans every single week. Plans ranging from 4 to even 18 meals a week. And not only that, but they allow you to pause or reschedule your deliveries at any time. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code KRICH50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. Again, that's code KRICH50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Thank you again to Factor for sponsoring today's video, and let's hop back into it. I mean, in the 2 weeks of this season so far, the changes we saw from week 1 to week 2 are just insanely remarkable. Their 34-28 loss to the Bills was a game that went down to the wire. Going toe-to-toe with one of the strongest teams in the league is a feat in its own right. And these Cardinals put out a dominant first half performance in Buffalo. Like hell, I honestly thought they were going to win the game. The defense managed a strip sack on Allen and held the Bills to just 3 points until the final moments of the half. They were leading 17-10 at halftime, but Buffalo's momentum carried them to a win in a dominant third quarter. The Cardinals came back into the game in the fourth by scoring the only kick return touchdown this season, and I mean, they honestly showed real signs of promise and put up a significantly better fight than the supposed AFC powerhouse that the Bills faced in week 2 in the Miami Dolphins. And look, straight up, the beating that the Dolphins took in week 2, that makes the Cardinals' performance in week 1 look that much better. Like, the Cardinals proved that they are a very tough team when they played the Bills, and then in week 2 even showed why they are a better equipped team to beat other teams in the NFL on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I mean, straight up, if they can maintain this type of play that they played in week 2, the Cardinals are going to be a team that nobody wants to play this year. On the defensive side of the ball, Nick Rawles's unit showed significant improvement from weeks 1 to week 2. It will always be a challenge to contain Josh Allen, but they were ultimately able to stay in the game until the final minutes, coming up with a big stop on 3rd and 2 to give the offense one more shot in the fourth quarter. Week 2 was a completely different story, and this defense was firing on all cylinders. The stars of the show were the linebackers, who were constantly finding their way to Stafford, managing 5 sacks between them, with Godric alone nabbing 3 of them. There were lingering questions about the secondary following the departure of veteran Antonio Holmes, but this group kept a depleted Rams receiver core at bay. Budda Baker was the best of them, already leading the team in solo tackles with 12 and coming up big for the Cardinals on 3rd down twice in the game against the Rams. The offense is finally explosive, with James Conner looking looking his best, averaging 4.6 yards per carry, Michael Wilson aiming to improve on a decent rookie year, Greg Dortch seeing a bigger role in the side, the ever-reliable Trey McBride leading the team in receptions, and of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. determined to prove he is worth the 4th overall pick. And look, Kyler Murray has had a strong start, to put it out plainly. He became only the second ever player in NFL history to earn a perfect passer rating while throwing for over 250 yards and rushing for over 50. Beyond the numbers, he has been electrifying to watch. His ability to extend plays and improvise when the pocket collapses was on full display in week 2. He's looking to clear up any lingering doubts about his attitude and get this team back on track to make the playoffs for the first time since 2021. And honestly, with the interesting landscape that the NFC West looks like right now, I don't know why the Cardinals can't win the NFC West. Like, can you tell me why they can't win this just so mid NFC West this year? Especially considering that the Rams' whole team is on the IR right now. They were my pick to win the NFC West. Why can't they do it? Like, as I said, the Rams are currently dead last with an 0-2 record without many starters on offense, while the Niners are surprisingly at 1-1 after a remarkable upset at the hands of the Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Mason is doing an admirable job filling in for Christian McCaffrey, but the reality is that nobody can replace what he brings to an offense. And truthfully, it's hurting the Niners. To add insult to injury, Debo will be out for a couple of weeks after sustaining a calf injury, which could put a serious dent in the 49ers' plans this season. The Seahawks currently lead the West at 2-0 with fairly uninspiring victories over the Broncos and the Patriots, both teams that were never expected to put up much of a fight this season. So as I said, in a division that looks significantly weaker than it has in recent years, there honestly is no better time for the Cardinals to just do the completely unexpected and win the division. Like, they haven't been able to do that since 2015. As we all know, steering the ship for the Cardinals has been Jonathan Ganon, who joined from the Philadelphia Eagles following their loss in Super Bowl 57. Honestly, when he was hired, he was far from a popular hire, as Ganon is frequently scapegoated by Philly fans for being the reason the team blew a 10-point lead. However, that doesn't erase the fact that in the 2022 regular season, Ganon's Eagles ranked 2nd in total defense, 1st in pass defense, and 8th in scoring. His strategy was heavily influenced by Mike Zimmer, who he worked under at the Vikings, and is centered on limiting explosive plays from the opposition offense, often by playing less aggressively underneath on shorter routes. His success in Philadelphia made him highly sought after by the teams across the league, but the recently appointed Cardinals GM Monty Ossenfort won out in the end. And look, straight up, Gannon is widely regarded as a strong defensive-minded coach. The problem is, though, is he's kind of been strapped for talent in Arizona until this year. In 2023, Gannon's first year in charge, his Cardinals allowed the 2nd most points per game, with the worst rushing and 3rd down defense in the entire league. The Cardinals front office aimed to fix this, making it a priority in the offseason with signings of Sean Murphy-Bunting, Justin Jones, Mac Wilson, Belia Nichols, and Chris Tonga, while adding Darius Robinson and Max Melton in the draft. But sadly, both of those guys have been battling injuries to start the season. Drew Petzing and Nick Rawlis, Gannon's offensive and defensive coordinators, both worked under Zimmer in Minnesota as well, though the Cards head coach has stressed that he won't be copying and pasting. Instead, Gannon insists on the importance of adaptability with respect to personnel available, as well as overall tactical flexibility when it comes to winning football games. Their 4-13 record in 2023 was far from impressive, but 5 of those losses were one-score games, and they finished the season with some decent results, going 3-5 in their last 8, including a marquee win over the Eagles on Gannon's return to Philadelphia. And honestly, it appears they've carried that momentum into this season. It's only week 2, but honestly, I'd argue that the Arizona Cardinals have been one of the most surprising teams of this season so far, especially given the modest expectations that they had coming into this season. A tough matchup against the Lions awaits them in week 3, but judging from what we've seen from this team so far, they'll be tough to knock off, and given the playmakers they have on offense, they will always be entertaining to watch. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you think is the ceiling for the Arizona Cardinals this year? Personally, for me, I thought they were one of the most underrated teams coming into this season, and honestly, it looks like they're kind of living up to that hype right now. I truly do think they can win the NFC West, especially for how weak it is right now. But again, let me know what you guys think they can do this year. As always, I love reading the comments and seeing what you guys can. If you guys can, make sure that you go over to Factor, check them out. Again, use my code over there, KRIDGE50, to get that discount. And as always, if you can, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It lets me know to keep making more of these as we are on our push to 50,000 subscribers this year. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.